Have you ever heard of Citgo? You've probably seen their gas stations all over the place. But did you know this seemingly all-American company is at the heart of one of the biggest, most dramatic international showdowns happening right now? This isn't just about gas prices. It's a story involving political intrigue, massive debt, and a staggering wealth transfer that could reshape global power dynamics. Get ready. Because we're about to unpack how a raid on Venezuela is about to trigger a historic financial event. Let's start with the basics. Citgo Petroleum Corporation is a U.S.-based refiner and marketer of gasoline and other fuels. But here's the twist. It's owned by Petróleos de Venezuela, or PDVSA, which is Venezuela's state-owned oil and gas company. For years, CITGO was a cash cow for Venezuela, a vital source of U.S. dollars for its economy. But that all changed. Venezuela's economy has been in a freefall for years, grappling with hyperinflation, sanctions, and political turmoil. The government, desperate for cash, started taking out massive loans from countries like Russia and China and from private creditors, often using its most valuable asset, CITGO, as collateral. Imagine you own a house, but you've taken out so many loans against it that you barely own any of it anymore. That's essentially what happened to Venezuela with CITGO. They pledged shares in the company and its parent holding company, PDV Holding, to secure these loans. This set the stage for a massive legal battle. One of the key players here is a Canadian mining company called Crystalex. Back in 2008, Venezuela nationalized a massive gold mine that Crystalex was developing. After a long legal fight, an international arbitration court awarded Crystalex $1.4 billion in compensation. But Venezuela didn't pay. So Crystalex went after the next best thing: Venezuela's assets in the United States, specifically CITGO. This is where things get really complex. The U.S. government has a complicated relationship with Venezuela. It doesn't recognize the government of Nicolás Maduro, instead backing the opposition leader Juan Guaido. In 2019, the U.S. imposed sanctions that essentially froze Venezuelan assets in the U.S., including control of CITGO, and handed it over to an opposition-appointed board. The idea was to protect the asset for a future, post-Maduro democratic government. This protection also shielded Citgo from being seized by creditors like Crystalex. For a while, it worked. The company was protected, and the creditors were kept at bay. But the situation couldn't last forever. The creditors were getting impatient. They had legitimate claims, and they wanted their money. The legal pressure mounted, and eventually a U.S. court in Delaware gave the green light for a court-appointed official to start organizing an auction of the shares of CITGO's parent company, PDV Holding. The U.S. Treasury Department, which had been blocking the sale with its sanctions policy, finally gave its approval in late 2023. This was the moment everything changed. The shield was down. The auction was on. So what exactly is being sold? It's not CITGO itself, but the shares of its parent company, PDV Holding. The winner of this auction will gain control of one of the largest refining networks in the United States. Citgo has 3 major refineries in Texas, Louisiana, and Illinois, along with pipelines and thousands of gas stations. It's a massive, profitable operation, valued at somewhere between $10 and $13 billion. However, the total claims against Venezuela are estimated to be over $20 billion. That's right, the claims are worth more than the asset itself. This means that even after Citgo is sold, Venezuela will still be in a massive amount of debt. This auction is essentially the largest sovereign asset sale in modern history to satisfy creditor claims. It's a massive wealth transfer. The value that was once Venezuela's national patrimony, its crown jewel asset, is now being carved up and sold off to pay a long line of international creditors. This includes not just companies like Crystalex, but also others like ConocoPhillips, which also won a huge arbitration award after its assets were seized. Bondholders who are owed billions are also lining up. It's a feeding frenzy, and everyone wants a piece of the pie. The political fallout from this is enormous. The Maduro government in Venezuela has, of course, condemned the auction as a theft and an act of looting orchestrated by the United States. They argue that the U.S. illegally seized the company and is now selling it off. On the other hand, the Venezuelan opposition, which once controlled CITGO, is in a tough spot. They failed to protect the asset, and now they're watching it being sold from under them, which significantly weakens their standing and credibility. For them, it's a devastating political blow. So who is likely to buy Citgo? The list of potential bidders is a who's who of the energy world. Major oil companies like ConocoPhillips are considered strong contenders. They're already a major creditor, so buying Citgo would be a way for them to recoup their losses and acquire a strategic asset. Other energy giants and private equity firms are also expected to be in the mix. The bidding process is highly secretive, but the final bids are due soon, and the winner could be selected by mid-summer. The sale represents a unique opportunity to acquire a major piece of the U.S. energy infrastructure. The impact on the average person might seem distant, but it's there. For Venezuelans, it's the loss of a national symbol and a potential source of future revenue that could have been used to rebuild their shattered country. It represents a loss of sovereignty and a harsh lesson in the consequences of mismanagement and debt. For Americans, the sale of Citgo is unlikely to cause a major disruption at the gas pump. The refineries will continue to operate, likely under new ownership. The brand name might even stay the same. But it's a stark reminder of how interconnected the global economy is, and how political conflicts in one country can have massive financial consequences thousands of miles away. This entire saga is a landmark case in international law and finance. It raises profound questions about sovereign immunity, the enforcement of arbitration awards, and the power of U.S. sanctions. How can a country's assets be seized and sold to pay off debts? What happens when political objectives, like promoting democracy, clash with legal and financial obligations? The Citgo auction is setting precedents that will be studied for decades. It's a complex web of law, finance, and geopolitics playing out in real time. As the auction moves toward its conclusion, the world is watching. The sale of Citgo is more than just a corporate transaction. It's the final chapter in a long and painful story for Venezuela. It is a massive transfer of wealth from a struggling nation to a group of powerful international corporations and creditors. It's a geopolitical chess move with billions of dollars on the line. And it's a powerful illustration of how, in our globalized world, a political crisis in Caracas can lead to one of the biggest forced asset sales in history, right in the heart of America. What a wild ride, right? It just shows how events on the world stage can have such incredible and often unseen financial consequences. Thanks for sticking with me through this deep dive. If you found this as fascinating as I did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that unpack the world around us. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next one.